here we are. These people you see here are about to act out for you the story of Antigone. That dark-haired girl, sitting by herself, staring straight ahead, seeing nothing, is Antigone. She is thinking. She is thinking that the instant I finish telling you who's who and what's what in this play, she will burst forth as the dark, tense, serious girl. She's going to rise up and face the whole world alone. Alone against the world and against Creon, her uncle, the king. Another thing she is thinking is this. She's going to die. Antigone is young. She would much rather live than die. But there's no help for it. When you're on the side of the gods against the tyrant, of man against the state, of purity against corruption, there's only one part you can play. Antigone is going to have to play hers through to the end. Mind you, Antigone doesn't know all these things about herself. I know them because it's my business to know them. That's what a Greek chorus is for. All she knows is that Creon won't allow her dead brother to be buried, and that despite Creon, she must bury him. Antigone doesn't think, she acts. She doesn't reason, she feels. And from the moment the curtain went up, she began to feel that inhuman forces were whirling her out of this world, snatching her away from her sister Ismene, who you see smiling at that young man, making her an instrument of the gods in a way she cannot fathom, but that she will faithfully pursue. You've never seen inhuman forces at work? You will tonight. That young man with Ismene, the gay and golden Ismene, is Haman. He's the king's son, Creon's son, the apple of the tyrant's eye. Antigone and he are engaged to be married. You wouldn't think she'd be his type. He likes dancing, sports, competition. He likes women too. Now look again at Ismene. She's certainly more beautiful than Antigone. She's the one you think he'd go for. Well, there was a ball one night. Ismene wore a new evening dress. She was radiant. Haman danced every dance with her. He couldn't even look at another girl. And that same night, before the dance was over, suddenly he was in search of Antigone. Found her sitting alone, like that, her arms clasped around her knees. He asked her to marry him. It didn't seem to surprise Antigone in the least. She looked up at him out of those solemn eyes of hers, smiled sort of sadly, and she said, yes. That was all. Well, now here's Haman expecting to marry Antigone. He won't, of course. He didn't know when he asked her that the world wasn't meant to hold a husband in that figure, and that this princely distinction was to earn him no more than the right to die sooner than he might otherwise have done. That gray-haired, powerfully built man, sitting lost in thought, is Creon, the king. His face is lined. He is tired. He practices the difficult art of the leader of men. When he was younger, when Oedipus was king, and Creon was no more than the king's brother-in-law, he was different. He loved music, bought rare manuscripts, was a kind of art painter. He used to while away whole afternoons in the antique shops in the city of Thebes. But Oedipus died. Oedipus' sons died. Creon's moment had come. He took over the kingdom. I'll tell you something about Creon. He has a tendency to fool himself. This leader of men, this brilliant debater and magician, likes to believe that were it not for his sense of responsibility, he would step right down from the throne and go back to collecting manuscripts. He's an artist who has always believed that he could rule just as well as any man of action could. And he's quite sure that no god or any man could tell him anything about what is best for the common man. Creon has a wife, a queen. Her name is Eurydice. There she sits, the gracious lady with the knitting, next to the old nurse who brought up the two girls. She will go on knitting all through the play until the time comes for her to go to her room and die. She's a good woman, a worthy, loving soul, But she's no help to her husband. Creon has to face the music alone. Alone with his secretary, who is too young to be of any use to him. Later, she will come running in to tell us that Haman has died. She has a premonition of catastrophe. That's what she's brooding over. That's why she won't mingle with the others. As for the two pasty-faced card players, they are the guards, members of Creon's police force. They chew tobacco. One smells of garlic, the other of beer. They're not a bad lot. They have wives they're afraid of. Children are afraid of them. They're bothered by the same day-to-day worries that beset us all. At the same time, they are policemen, eternally innocent no matter what crime is committed. Eternally indifferent, because nothing that happens can matter to them. They're fully prepared to arrest anyone at all, even Creon himself, should the order be given by a new leader. That's a lot. After the play. Oedipus, who was the father of Antigone and Ismene, had also two sons, Eteocles and Polynices. After Oedipus died, it was agreed that the two sons should rule over Thebes, each to rule in alternate years. But when Eteocles, the elder brother, had ruled a full year, the time came for him to step down. He refused to offer up the throne to his younger brother, Polynices. There was civil war. Polynices brought up allies, 7 foreign princes, and in the course of the war, the foreigners were defeated, one outside each of the 7 gates of the city. Eteocles and Polynices met in combat and killed each other just outside the city walls. And now Creon is king. A reign of terror has begun. Creon has issued a solemn edict that Eteocles, on whose side he was, should be buried with pomp and honors, and Polynices, the younger brother, should be left to rot. The vultures and the dogs are to bloat themselves on his carcass. And above all, any person who attempts to give him decent burial will himself be put to death. It is against this blasphemy that Antigone rebels. What to Creon is merely the climax of a political purge, is to her a hideous offense against God and man. Since time began, men have recoiled in horror against the desecration of the dead. It is this spirit which prompts us today to suspend battle in order to bury our dead, to bury even the enemy.